Good Taste Edibles has something wild dropping soon, and you're gonna want to be ready for it. They took their fan favorite Funfetti Crispy, you know the one that tastes like a party, and they leveled it all the way up. Coming soon, the Fruit Fetty 1000 milligram Mega Dosed Crispy. Same sweet, fruity, marshmallowy goodness, but now with a ridiculous 1000 milligrams of THC. This isn't background edible energy. This is main character energy. Perfect for high tolerance folks or sharing with the crew. Just don't say we didn't warn you.
Welcome to Greenway Audio Magazine. I am Tim, and Brandon is with me as always. But today we have Zach McCullough and Annie Macheca of Monarch Waste. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, happy to be
This
here.
is the part where I clap. Brandon, clap.
I am clapping. You just can't see it.
Oh,
in
you
the frame.
can't clap. Brandon,
No, I
tore
am
the-
clapping. You just can't see it in the frame.
He tore, what was it? Tore the tendon in your middle finger?
I tore the tendons and ligaments and a couple knuckles in my finger.
Well, we won't get into how disgusting that is. Let's get into the recycling of vapes. Okay, so Zach, Annie, I know a little bit, but please explain what Monarch Waste is, why there's an issue, and what we can do to help solve it here in Missouri.
Yes, great question to start with, Tim. Monarch Waste, we are a specialty cannabis waste service. We operate exclusively in Missouri, and we are currently the only compliant and specialized cannabis waste service in the state.
Wow. And that has been like approved and permitted by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, right?
We work closely with DCR and MoDNR when it comes to battery recycling.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's got to be a whole list of regulations on how to handle that stuff, I would imagine.
There's so many regulations, and what we're really looking at is a device that has two completely separately regulated waste streams. You've got the lithium battery,
Yep.
and then we've got a controlled substance. So both having different remediation processes, it's just not that straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. Yeah, you have hazardous waste, right? I mean,
Yes,
cannabis residue, batteries, and electronics. So really, it's literally like three different streams in a way, right?
Correct. And to be clear, the lithium is the hazardous element in the device. And
Okay.
yeah, the distillate or rosin, whatever is the cannabis element, that is what is regulated by DCR. So when you think about it, we have to first split the device into two pieces, and each piece is going to be going on a different path of remediation.
You guys do more than just the all-in-one disposal and the lithium battery disposal. You guys have been doing this since the early days of medical. You're expanded your operations to the opposite side of the state, to the Kansas City area. Originally launched in St. Louis. You guys expanded in 2024 to Kansas City, right?
Yes.
And so not only are you the only one in the state that's doing this compliantly and, that has all the kind of certifications and understanding of what you're doing, but you're doing it across the state with working with multiple different operations, because it's not just the all-in-one collection, it's all of the cannabis remediation and disposal, which is something that in the application process, they ask you, how are you going to solve this? How are you going to remediate your waste, and how are you going to do it compliantly and things like that? And I think for people that weren't in St. Louis for a couple years, they didn't even know that you guys were an option, that there was someone out there that
Yeah.
was able to do these types of things. So can you kind of jump back to the beginning and how you guys got into the industry a little bit, as far as getting all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and how you found your way into being the state's most comprehensive solution to be able to throw shit away?
Absolutely. We started Monarch because we applied for cultivation license for Missouri Medical in the beginning, and we are denied applicants. So we went through the whole process. We had our whole plan set out, and completely heartbroken that we didn't get a license. However, we already had the industrial equipment for shredding cannabis, and instead of spending our time licking our wounds, we said, let's do plan B and pivot and find a way to get into this industry, even if we were denied a license. So when we started Monarch, we thought we would be handling mostly green waste. We have this cannabis-specific shredder. It's very large. It requires a lot of power, and it can shred thousands of pounds of green waste for our clients. Once we started getting clients, we realized that we weren't just going to be handling green waste for these facilities. We would be handling all of the types of waste that come from these cannabis facilities. So with the cultivation facilities, it's mostly green waste. But then with the manufacturing facilities, it gets complicated. We might shred hard candies. We might shred soda. There's brownies and Rice Krispie treats that we shred. So as we grew and as we expanded, we had to...
Your shredder became more delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really had no idea about lithium-ion batteries when we started. This has been something that has kind of fallen into our lap because our clients need these to be destroyed. So at this point, we are becoming these vape pen, all-in-one battery, lithium-ion battery experts without really having anticipated that we would go down this pathway. And honestly, it's been fun because I consider myself someone that cares about the environment and cares about my footprint. At this business, we get to work with different things that we're passionate about. We get to work with cannabis. We get to divert waste from landfills. At the end of the day, we get to feel like we've done good. And now we are working with these lithium-ion batteries and solving this problem every day. At this point, we have recycled over 40,000 batteries for our clients that never made it to market.
So pre-consumer.
Oh, pre-consumer?
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
never
yeah, I mean-
even hit dispensaries. Yes.
Jeez. That's a lot of product that never got to dispensaries. I mean,
Yes.
That's
literally,
a lot of waste.
it's a ton of waste. So, I mean, honestly, my next question was going to be, do you know the environmental impact Monarch has had so far? Like, do you have an idea? I mean, that's an amazing stat, but like the recycling part too, like, do you have an idea of what you've done?
It's hard to quantify that, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, to echo what Annie said, the 40,000 devices, those have all been recycled with our recycling partner. So because lithium is so, what's the word? It's very reusable. I think it has like a 95% recovery rate. So this is a critical mineral that we're mining, but that we also have the opportunity to go ahead and recycle. And I know there's some other very valuable minerals in the battery as well. So As far as stats go, yeah, the 40,000 is the pre-consumer. And I will say, like, to echo what Annie said, that was born out of complete necessity due to the admin holds that Missouri has been experiencing. We had people coming out of the woodworks saying, help. The state has put this entire unit SKU on hold. And we said, okay, well, how are we going to remediate these? Because it's a little bit of a catch-22. MoDNR and the EPA advises against throwing lithium batteries or any device with a lithium battery in the trash. So if you're not recycling it, you're throwing it in the trash. So there you have it. We were forced to figure this out. How are we going to get these separated from the controlled substance and to somebody that can recycle this and reuse it?
So for those who may not be aware, what makes recycling these vapes, especially like the all-in-ones, so challenging?
And the challenging part is due to the dual waste stream that we have going on.
Mm-hmm. Right.
DCR requires that all cannabis waste, so that's, whether that's pruning waste from cultivation, sodas, or AIOs, all-in-ones, which is kind of the term we're trying to normalize.
I like it.
Not to get off on a tangent, we're trying to stop calling them disposables because they're not disposable. Right. Like, it's almost a weird thing we've got in our head that these are disposable. And in theory, they are, right? But they need to be disposed of properly. So
okay, so let's start this change here. What should we be saying?
The industry term that we are trying to introduce to our clients is AIO, all in one, all in one.
And the all-in-one is specifically a vape pen where the battery cannot be easily separated from the cartridge.
So it's literally the thing that everyone thinks of as disposables, and that the industry has branded as disposables for years, leading up to this point. And it's also the essentially the biggest fastest growing product line outside of infused pre-rolls right now is the expanse of all-in-ones. So we've had 510s forever, and they've been disposing of 510s since the launch of this. But the problem became whenever all-in-ones became the more popular version of everything than the traditional 510 threads.
And I think the one thing we haven't touched on yet is that we cannot shred the all-in-ones in our machine. So that is why we have to separate the battery and the cannabis before we shred the cannabis, because we cannot shred the battery, because once we shred the battery splits open and that battery becomes a hazardous waste that we can no longer transport legally.
And that's on
Is this
top
a manual?
of
Is this a manual process?
We manually separate them.
Oh my gosh.
This is a manual process, and I love getting into the weeds, no pun intended.
Let's do it.
With our clients, seeing this is what it takes. This is the amount of infrastructure it takes to handle these. And we kind of speaking on a little bit of the admin hold and how that was a huge impetus on why we developed this program just out of necessity. We are getting ready to work with a client on some destruction of pre-consumer AIOs. And we're talking in the range of 30,000+. 30,000+. That will be due to DCR's guidance. We're working with them on this. They have to be manually split. So every single pen has to be touched and then separated into their respective collection point so that we can get the batteries to recycling and we can get the cannabis then goes straight into the shredder. So we will shred anything under the sun except a battery. And what Annie said about the hazardous waste point is a huge factor. The minute that cell is split on that battery, it is technically hazardous waste. And on top of that, shredding a battery, a lithium battery, it's just a massive fire risk. You know, we have done it on accident, and it's just a very short-lived but very, very hot flame that happens. Like the second that thing is split, it's fireworks.
You remember when everybody's pants were catching on fire on airplanes because of their
Yes.
Samsung phones back in the day?
Mhm.
So think of 40,000 tiny explosions like that at one time.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of people understand that you can't throw a Tesla battery into your garbage. You can't throw your laptop battery or your cell phone battery into your garbage. It has to be recycled. But because the terminology for so long has been disposable, this is a disposable vape. No one's connected the two together, that this is not actually disposable until, honestly, even myself, until we started talking about this. I didn't realize, it never clicked in my head that, hey, I should not be throwing these away. And I especially for the average consumer. And so I think that's one of the really cool things about what you guys are doing, is because while you're not only offering this service and taking the time to do everything properly in the way that it needs to be done and compliantly and responsibly, but you're taking it a step further, and you've partnered with the team over at Curador, and you're working with some dispensaries, you're working with some other manufacturers, and you guys are now also taking these all-in-one products, and I believe even the traditional batteries like 510 or pod batteries back from consumers whenever they no longer want them or whenever they're no longer using them, correct?
Yes, and that is part of our very newly rolled out post-consumer collection program.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the process and some of the partners that you guys have been working with and things like that?
Yes, absolutely. So currently there are collection boxes for post-consumer AIOs at 315 Primo, all 5 locations. There are collection boxes at Nature Med as well. And we have just signed with a couple new facilities. The Heights is coming on board with a collection kiosk. And we're really excited to also say that Suede East is going to be having 3 new collection points in the city of St. Louis.
Love it.
That's fantastic.
Why does every dispensary not have this? Like, what is the issue here? Why are people not doing this? Do they just not know? Do they just not care? Is this, they don't have room for it? Like, have you gotten pushback from anyone?
That's a loaded question, Tim. I think everyone is excited about this when they hear about it, but putting this into action, let's just all understand that it comes down to the fact that sustainability in our modern world is not cheap. And there is no shortcut for recycling these because there is no other path to remediation aside from incineration, which I think we can all easily say is not environmentally friendly. So I think the simplest answer is 2 parts. It's education, going back to the fact that these are not disposable. And I think the other part is the cost. There is a cost associated with being part of a sustainable solution. But I do believe, and I think Monarch is very proud to partner with facilities that are accepting EPR, extended producer responsibility. If we are going to choose to create devices with lithium at such a rapid rate, we've got to consider, what do we do with it when we're done?
Right. That is interesting. I see this a lot. If you have a computer monitor that's like 20 years old, probably, 50% of people, maybe less, will just be like, I'm just going to throw it away.
Right.
Even though there is an opportunity to, everybody has these electronic recycling events in their local city and that kind of stuff. And it always blows my mind when I have stuff and I go to the recycling event, there's tons of cars, and it kind of like revitalizes my faith in humanity.
Yes.
But at the same time, the smaller issues like these batteries, no one's thinking about that. And that's what we need to change, is like, this is a computer monitor. This is, an electronic that needs to be recycled.
But the thing that you just said is also the part. It's part of the solution, but it's part of the problem, and it's the same thing that they're experiencing, which is, they've come up with a solution, and it's fantastic, and we have more and more people joining on. But you still have to wait until a certain Sunday at a certain place and time and a certain location to be able to go and drop that off. And for the average person, do they have the time? Are they already busy? Do they have something else going on that day?
Costs $20.
It's the same. It's kind of the same mentality as, why does an organic egg or pepper or something like that cost 20 times more than a hot dog? Why is milk more expensive per gallon than oil? It's literally more expensive to be environmentally conscious or to be kind and healthy to your body or to the
organic
world around you than it is to just be a wasteful glutton in essence. And the biggest reason for that is because convenience, it has become such a commodity that it's cheaper to produce convenience than it is to produce sustainability. And so that seems to be the overall issue with most businesses, but especially in the cannabis industry. We already have so much waste with packaging, and we have 5 different layers to get a tiny thing that you're not supposed to throw away anyway. And then for the average consumer, they're like, it's like the scissors. Whenever you buy scissors at the store, you have to have scissors to open the scissors, and then you have this big package that you're like, well, I absolutely don't need this. Just put the scissors on the rack, print the UPC code or the barcode on the scissors, like we do with hammers and stuff at tools. But it's not as easy to ship that way, and there's all kinds of little logistic decisions that factor into why industry overall is so wasteful. But the biggest one comes down to, at some point, somebody determined that it's easier to be more convenient, whether it's in shipping or whether it's in packaging or whether it's for consumers. It's more easy to be convenient than it is to be sustainable. And I love that, Zach and Annie are really kind of steering the ship, especially in Missouri, on partnering with companies and bringing this forward, because even simple things like we've seen multiple dispensaries that have had glass recycling programs because of glass jars.
Right.
And why do they fall off to the wayside? Well, because it gets cumbersome and tiresome to have somebody carry and lug around 100-pound basket of glass. And that's really what it boils down to, is it's hard, it's tough. And nobody wants to change the trash bag or whatever it happens to be. Man, I applaud you guys.
Thank you.
more than you will ever understand, because
Same.
one of our big things has always been trying to encourage companies and businesses to be more environmentally conscious. And I mean, you guys know that we've talked before about our discounts and stuff that we do with people that have sustainable practices. But the difference is that you guys have made your entire business about it. I'm just trying to incentivize people to do the right thing. You're like, no, we'll just go out and change the world instead.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you for saying all that. I do like to think that we are trying every day to change the world a little bit and make it a little bit better than how we found it. As someone that cares about everything I do and every decision I make and every dollar I spend, I am someone that didn't really know anything about how to throw my batteries away. So I'm going into this assuming that there are so many people in Missouri that really just do not know anything about this and do not know how destructful these batteries can be in the environment. We talk with Waste Management, and they have fires every single day at their waste facilities because of lithium-ion batteries. So at some point, we just said to ourselves, I think we can make this happen. And it's been a lot of work. This battery recycling program isn't Monarch's bread and butter. We don't do this because this is, increasing our profits every day. We're doing this because it's just this big gaping hole that needs to be filled. And I think that we're capable of doing it. And so far, it's happening. And at the same time, it's really fun. It's fun to have this project and really just dive in hard on it.
Blue Sage is now open in Belton, their first dispensary in the Kansas City area and 5th overall in Missouri. Located at 17015 Belray Boulevard, Blue Sage Belton brings their signature deli-style experience to KC with the widest selection of Vivid flower and first access to the latest drops. You've seen them in St. Louis. You've seen them in Lebanon, Carthage, Valley Park. Now it's time to come see your buds in Belton. Hey, we talk about the good stuff, they sell the good stuff. It's a perfect match. Browse the menu and daily deals at cannabisdeli.com. See you in Belton.
I wish you guys had one of the burnt out AIOs with you so that we could have started at the beginning of the podcast showing you taking apart and how long it takes for each one, as we were sitting here talking.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, you guys have to have just insane grip strength and like massive forearms. I mean, because
it's all Annie. It's all Annie.
It's all me.
Yeah, we're
Zach just supervises.
We're Popeyeing over here for sure. I will say you cannot spell AIO destruction without carpal tunnel. I know you cannot. It's just like, it's the most unglamorous, brutal part of what we do. It's so fun to talk about because we get to talk to consumers about this. Monarch is a business to business company. So we're behind the scenes. We're talking to the decision makers, but getting to do the AIO work, this lets us interact with the customers. But I will tell everyone that's interacting with us and stoked about this, give us your pens. We will recycle them, but we are sacrificing our bodies every day to make it happen. And until we can come up with a better way to handle these waste streams, because it's convenient to make, but it's so inconvenient to remediate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about this is, we have a lot of, we talk to a lot of people in the industry, and they love the organic part. I'm not pointing anyone out, but living soil, and we want the most organic material to grow this beautiful thing for you. And here it is. Why are we not talking about like what you do with it after you use it? If we're that intent on making this such an amazing, organic, beautiful experience, when it's done, the job's not over. If you're still believing in that mentality,
Right.
you still got to do the next step, which is recycle it correctly.
And that's that extended producer responsibility. It's a concept that we are familiarizing ourselves with. And like you said, Tim, I don't think we can get very far in this game by pointing fingers. But what we can do is we can talk about the education piece. We can talk about the program as it relates to convenience. We want to make this convenient. So the collection kiosk, we drop them at a new dispensary. It might take 6, 7, 8 times for that person to come in, but they will eventually bring in that shoebox that's in their drawer full of AIOs, and they're going to drop it off. And I think that's where we're going to get this off the ground, is education and repetition through convenience.
Yeah,
I think the better thing is that you're gonna get people to start having a shoebox or having a cup.
That was my point.
Something like that, because I don't think the average person is disposing of them the right way because they don't know, and so whenever they come in, the kiosk itself is part of the educational process, because then they ask the dispensary worker, the patient care specialist, the bud tender, security guard, whoever it happens to be, that they see, hey, what is this? And they're like, oh, well, that's where you dispose of these, because if you put nobody would, like I said, nobody would throw their Tesla battery in a garbage can. And whenever you're talking about, a couple hundred, maybe probably less than 1,000, probably a couple, 400 or 500 of these together is kind of a small Tesla battery, tractor battery, something like that. No one would just throw that in their kitchen trash, but everybody's throwing these in their kitchen trash.
Yeah.
And just creating that, hey, let's not toss it in the trash. Let's put it in this little bucket. Next time I go to the dispensary, I'm going to grab this and take it with me, drop it in there. The educational aspect just of the kiosks is so huge for me. And I'm so sorry, Silver Fox. I did not mean to step on your toes.
Dude, you said word for word what I was going to say. That's why we are in line here.
That's true, because he calls himself Silver Fox every time he looks in the mirror. He's like, oh, we got it going today, boys. The eyebrow game is on point. There it is.
I love that affirmation too.
There it is. Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, okay. So let's, what we should do? We should come up with some sort of like tagline, like, this is going to be terrible, but disposable, no, it's AIO. Like come up with some tagline now that we need to just shut up, Brandon. I can see it in his face. He's going,
that was actually pretty good, Tim.
But like, hey, if we can start changing the verbiage here, and then maybe that will start changing something else. Okay, maybe that was a dumb idea, but let's just get it back to where.
Hey, marketing, buddy. There are no dumb ideas. There are just ideas that may not work.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if that one will work, but for cannabis brands and retailers that are listening now, and Annie, like you said, spreading the word is important, and we have millions of listeners and viewers to this wonderful podcast of ours. So I'm sure this will change overnight is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
For cannabis brands and retailers listening and watching, what is one step they can take today to be more sustainable? Whether it's working with you, or is there something that they can do right now?
I think the best call to action that we can put out through this podcast and through the Greenway network is that we have a take back form on our website. It's extremely short, just basic information. So I would say that is the best next step, is to, if you walk into your favorite dispensary and you do not see a collection point or a collection kiosk, ask them to go and fill out the form on our website. And I think honestly, like
That's
that
it.
is my push. That's my push.
Yeah.
Let's start
Right.
there, right?
Yeah. Ask your GM.
I have a proposition for you, and we can cut this out if you guys are unable or don't want to do it. But my proposition is, if you guys will help me come up with the material, or the content and the description and stuff, Greenway and Patience will design posters and stuff, and then we'll help you finance sending posters out to dispensaries across the state, just to put in the lobby or in the waiting room so that people know how to properly dispose of an AIO.
I love that idea. Brandon, and we will take you up on that offer.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, if you'll send over the material and stuff, we'll design it, we'll lay it out and all that stuff, and we'll figure out how to get them mass printed and send them out to dispensaries and stuff. Because even if there's somebody in Springfield or a dispensary in Southeast Missouri that you guys don't have the ability to work with currently, we can still educate their staff and consumers on the proper way to dispose of those all-in-one vapes or of any vape battery, and
Excellent.
just create educational opportunities.
And that is a really good chance, Brandon, with what you said about dispensaries that are not close to us, as we operate out of the city of St. Louis, is I just kind of want to go back to shouting out Curador and Fifth Meridian, who we are partnered with on this initiative. Through their partnership and commitment to this sustainable project, we are actually able to easily receive AIOs, say in Joplin, Missouri, the farthest we can go from St. Louis, to get them back here so that we can get them properly recycled. So shout out to Fifth Meridian, who has
That's fantastic.
who is
Love it.
all over the state already. So we're utilizing their routes to, I don't want to create a larger carbon footprint, and it's really just not economically viable for us to drive out to Joplin. So working with Fifth Meridian, which has been underwritten with our partnership with Curador, has just been ace on this project.
I love it.
And even if we don't partner with dispensaries in different parts of the state, every part of Missouri is in a different waste district, and each of those waste districts do have recycling programs. So if we're putting out educational material throughout the state, there are resources outside of our collection program for people.
Yeah, because for the average consumer, you're not going to get in trouble for throwing a joint away or throwing a bag of gummies away or anything like that in your trash. Very few people are going to be going through the landfill looking for the remnants of your vape cart or anything like that. So the bigger issue is really just separating the battery from the device. And so if we can just encourage people to properly dispose of those batteries, whether it's at a drop point or just at home, and start doing it the right way, I think that's huge. And I think a lot of it just comes down to education.
Again,
Exactly.
education, and repetition. Like, I think the more we can get this message out, the better. And what's really interesting is that when it comes to us on the ground looking at, God, there's the amount of vape pens that we've come across, different styles, different compositions, different anatomies to these things. Some are easier to separate, some are sleeker and harder, but something that we truly believe could be a major turning point here is that we don't need to stop making disposable vape pens, but if the pen simply had a way to easily separate the battery, and we have come across a prototype with a partner that we have. If you can pull that battery out, and then that battery can be recycled, the cannabis can be separated, that's the magic right there. Is we just need to start having some precedent that these can be separated without, we use, mechanical devices to physically cut them. And we have to know from experience, where do you cut this so that you're not puncturing the battery? And like, there's so many different anatomy types of pens. So I think that maybe in the future, I envision a cannabis industry where the battery must be able to be separated.
Yeah, absolutely. And until then, I feel like this should be on the tip of the tongue of every bud tender. I mean, even when they're selling vapes, like, hey, enjoy it. Don't forget to recycle that.
Yeah.
Or having something, when people are walking out of the dispensary, a sign that says, hey, don't forget to recycle. Or
but even then,
lunchroom.
that's still an education part, because then people are just going to think, oh, we need to recycle the plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
And so.
Yeah. The process of the recycling.
No,
yeah. So ideally.
You're totally right. I'm just saying, like, because that was me. I was, until I talked to Zach the first time about this, it had never, I knew, full disclosure, all-in-ones are wasteful. It's more waste than a 510.
Right.
It's more packaging, it's more waste, it's less reusability and stuff like that. But the battery concept, the part where, there's a legitimate hazard to it, had not really dawned on me, even though I try and think of myself as forward thinking. And so that's where, your part about, having a bud tender say, hey, don't forget to recycle that would have totally worked on me. I would have thrown it into my plastic recycling and not thought a second thing about it. And then I would have set off a series of tiny explosions whenever they got ready to recycle my plastic. So I love the idea of bud tenders being more educated about it as well. But to your point, we got to figure out the right verbiage. We got to figure out the quick and efficient way to say, hey, you got to strip this down. You got to recycle it. You got to break it down. You got to do your part, be the change. You got to condense that all into 2 words that sound like recycle it. So Tim, that's your project this week.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Like, why isn't this on packaging? Like, is there a way that?
So here's the shitty part about that. Even though this would be great for consumers, and even though it would be great for the state and the environment and all of those things, DCR is so strict about their packaging requirements that they won't even let people put additional warnings of cognitive warnings or larger cognitive warnings or anything like that on their packaging. So they're definitely not going to let them.
I thought they'd be all about this.
You would think an regulatory body that discusses public safety and stuff so much, but they've literally made people rescind their packaging because they had too many warnings, or because the warning was too big and didn't fit the format. So with that in mind, that's where we have to have, posters. We have to have employees that are educated. We have to, go grassroots on it. Grass. But we really have to do it, because there are elements of it that even if the operators wanted to do, as far as, adding additional information onto the packaging, they can't. So, they could add an instruction booklet on the inside, but that's more waste and nobody's going to read it. So we have to meet people in the middle, and we have to, use platforms like this. We have to, educate the bud tenders. We have to have partner companies like Curador. I'm acting like I'm part of this, but they
I want to be part of it now.
They have to have all these things, go together really well, like peanut butter and jelly, because if you don't, then you got peanut butter and cream cheese, and nobody wants that.
You should start coming up. You should start coming up with a, like the little recycling logo. You should come up with your own little logo? Maybe like here, let me have a little brainstorm here. Maybe it's like maybe it's a triangle.
Firecracker.
It's a triangle of like 3 massive forearms, and then a wrench in the middle or something like that. And everybody knows that is how you recycle AIOs. I would trademark that,
Yeah.
get that going.
3 pieces of dynamite around around Annie's bicep. Just,
I love all the marketing brainstorming we're doing, guys. This is
Dude, we're total freaking nerds about this stuff. So
I mean, to be fair, we're total nerds about everything. So
just about anything in general. Yeah.
Good company.
So hard to scratch right now. I have to use my
you have
thumb.
one thumb. You have one finger working on that arm. Real quick, I do want to ask both of you, Annie, you said like, this wasn't like a mission of yours, or this wasn't something you were like particularly interested in. You just realized, hey, this needs to be done. Like someone needs to do this. Was there anything in your lives prior to this that was like, if I have an opportunity to do something good for the environment, I want to? Or did this just pop up and you're like, hey, we should take this?
This was just your Ross and Chandler moving a couch, your pivot moment, right?
Pivot, yes.
good reference.
Great reference. Zach and I met in college at a liberal arts school that focused on social justice and environmentalism. So it really is our background. And before we got into cannabis, we have our own urban farm in St. Louis. So we were farming, doing sustainable farming here in St. Louis up until about when we had a kid and the pandemic hit, and we decided let's put all that aside for now and jump into the cannabis industry.
I mean, that's a true love story right there.
It really
That's
is.
a movie. It's a movie right there.
Are we making a movie, guys? Let's do it.
I think we are.
Zach and Annie make a recycling program.
The gang recycles AIOs.
So
That was good.
So how about this? Final message to people. Let us hear your pitch. What do we need to do with all of the millions of people listening right now? Let's just say it's millions of dispensary owners. What is your message?
Or
to
we can be realistic and be like, the couple
mom.
thousand people that are currently
my wife watching this.
currently going to hear.
Yeah, please tell us.
What is our message?
Yeah. Like when you're leaving, like if you could summarize what you're doing.
Your elevator pitch.
Yeah. Like,
What's the elevator pitch to the industry?
Yeah.
The elevator pitch to the industry, and I believe we are going to actually be having a lot of this language on the kiosks that we're delivering, is when you recycle your vape pen, you help the planet.
It's as simple as that. Sorry. I mean, that's it.
If I had a mic to drop, I would drop it and just walk away. Like, I think that's that's what
just
we're
knock it over. Just knock the podcast mic over.
Yeah, if you don't, it's going to be 110 degrees out and flooding. Oh wait, it's already happening. So, but yes, we should. That would be so. Oh my God, I'm like thinking all of these ideas, Brandon.
He's brainstorming live on
As
the
I'm
podcast
talking,
right now, guys.
Things are going. Ooh, we should do this.
His synapses are firing. So let me take over for a second and steer this ship while
please.
Tim's having his thundercloud inside his inside his dome. one of the things that he likes to do, one of the things that we do a lot as we come to the end of the podcast, is we like to ask people what's on their playlist and things like that. So I'm going to ask you that. But before I ask you that, I'm going to ask you for something a little more specific. Give me your best, environmentally conscious, like, pro-earth song. I will start us off. Baby Shark. Baby Shark.
Don't you dare put that in my head.
You can't pollute the ocean. You can't pollute the ocean whenever you hear Baby Shark. Baby Shark.
No.
I'll be singing that when I'm trying to go to bed now tonight.
I know.
Fantastic. You're welcome.
Do you want to take the first stab at that, or?
I think you're better at that stab.
I will stab this. Okay, so this is actually perfect because I've been listening for the last, better part of a decade. Lots of Grateful Dead. I've taken that deep dive.
You're welcome.
Yes, Annie, kind of got me on that train. What was it, 2015, the Fare Thee Well shows in Chicago. So I'm going to go with Fire on the Mountain by the Grateful Dead. Sort of works into what Tim said. Like, we are seeing this is getting real serious. We're seeing the effects of climate change every day. We were just on the West Coast, and I know there's been a large
That's
fire.
Nevada now, right?
It was the Grand Canyon. Has it spread to Nevada? Thanks for that fun fact, Brandon. So yes, let's go with Fire on the Mountain. Like, we all know the reality of the West Coast and Canada with the forest fires. Let's not go too far into that. So I'm going to leave it with that. I think Fire on the Mountain is my submission to this question.
That's both perfect and super dark, and that's my favorite shit.
It's like the Debbie Downer skit on SNL when you're at a party.
Tim's Debbie Downer face was so spot on, though.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Annie, what are you listening to right now? What are you jamming on?
Well, as we were talking, and I learned you guys are nerds, and it seems like this is a really safe space. I think
Very
I might
safe.
as well just admit that I am currently listening to Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and it's like dragon fantasy.
These are all words I've never heard.
Book? Oh, wait. Fourth Wing. It's an audio book. I know about this. This is like Lord of the Rings. Not Lord of the Rings. That's one of those like saucy book talk books,
It
right?
is saucy.
It's sexy
yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's basically dragon smut that someone.
Yeah, it is. It's like 50 Shades of Gandalf.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it is. And it's like, it's not very well written, but it is very engaging, and there's a lot of action, so it keeps you gotta, you want to know what happens. So that is what I'm currently listening to.
I
Holy
love that
cow.
for you.
I think you
because that is the equivalent of like junk TV for intelligent ladies.
Dragons.
Basically, yes. I can listen while I'm washing the dishes or weeding my yard, and
While you're
Tim, you
separating
don't
AIOs.
understand.
I don't. I want to.
No, every like cool chick I know between the ages of like 33, 34 and like 25 or so, it is all into all these like smutty like book talk. Just look up book talk. I learned about it from a girl that used to work with us, and from there it was like, oh my gosh, like, because then I'd see one of the books in hand or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, I know what that book is because she's told me about it. And I'm very glad that I learned about it, because we were at Target one day and they've got what looks like YA books hanging out next to, I'm like, oh, fantasy and dragons and stuff. Like, maybe my kids will be into the. No. These are not kids safe.
They're not young adult. It's the
they're not
genre
young
I think
adult.
is called new adult. So it's like 20s and up.
And
Yeah,
New adult. Okay.
more like NC-17.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you said 50 shades of Gandalf.
I mean, to be fair, he went from gray to white. Like there's a spectrum there, right? You know.
Absolutely.
Well, Zach and Annie, thank you so much for joining us. Monarchwaste.co. And on
Yes.
there, they can find the vape pen take back form.
Yes, on our services tab, there is a drop down. Click on vape pen take back form. Super easy, super quick. That goes directly to us. And I think that's the best thing that we can say is that is the best action step. Aside from all the education that we have planned now, let's get people on that site and fill that form out.
That's right.
And on the recommendations tab, you can see what Annie's currently listening to.
Yeah.
And never forget, disposable no, AIO.
We'll work on that one. Yes.
That's how we leave it off. Thank you guys so much for taking
Yes.
the time.
You
to
guys
join
are
us.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you for
awesome.
having us.
We
It's
appreciate
really
you.
been a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. See ya.
Bye, y'all.